Hi, folks, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast, When I Became a Gator. I'm your host, Phillip Cheng, and our podcast focuses on the stories of various alumni around the country in the hopes of bringing closer the Gator Nation, one alumni at a time. Tonight, our special guest is Sandy Chiu. Sandy, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Phillip. Thank you for having me.
So great to have you on. Sandy, it's been a while since we've connected. Was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, and if you could throw in where you're from and what you studied at UF. I'm sure our listeners would love to hear that.
Sure. Okay. I am currently in New York City. I am an attorney. I do intellectual property law at Greenberg Traurig. I grew up in South Florida, so that is Coral Springs, and I finished high school in West Palm Beach. And went to UF, majored in microbiology and cell science, and was actually one of the first students to get the certificate of Asian American Studies, which now there's a minor. So there's Asian American Studies minor.
Yeah,
so
right.
So that's really exciting to see the growth of that. I graduated in 2007. And then afterwards, I joined in an AmeriCorps program in Cleveland. So I joined City Year in Cleveland. So that is a education-based nonprofit that's dedicated to helping students and schools succeed. And so there I managed teams of core members in their school-based service as like mentors after school. They did after school programs, and they also tutored. And so after that, I went to law school, and that's how I ended up back at UF and graduated from law school in 2014.
Awesome. Sandy, I remember when I was a student, I think your class or your generation of leaders of the Asian American community there, you were the ones who were rallying for classes, right? Was it Asian American Studies classes?
Yes, I think we held a few rallies. One of them was for Asian American Institute. Mm-hmm. So I just remember looking at pictures of that, but also for the Asian American Studies program. And that's where we worked with a bunch of students, a small group of students with Dr. Schuler to convince the English department and the university to allow different professors to teach courses for the Asian American Studies program. And so we got a certificate, and that was a huge success. And we also helped to advocate for an Asian American Student Affairs position, which a few years later, we actually did get one, and there's a permanent position now in Student Affairs. Yeah, so that's super exciting.
Thank you to you and your generation who sort of really initiated and fought for all of those things that we do have now in Asian American Studies minor, an office dedicated to APIDA students and affairs, just more resources and awareness in general, I think, of Asian American students and identity and needs. And so I think, thank you so much for your generation for pioneering and fighting for that.
Yes, no, I was very lucky to be a part of the group, and like Mark Villegas, Asian American Student Union president, 2005, I believe. He and Teresa and just a whole bunch of, I say a whole bunch, it feels like a whole bunch, but it's not. It's always a small group of students who come together who are just very passionate, and their passion is very contagious, and they make me want to get involved. And they've together with me, we were able to just get together, talk about the issues, and just kind of get it done. So that was exciting.
And I think that every generation or every couple of years, there's always that really solid group of students who continue that, fight, that generational fight year after year. And I can say decades now. The fight for Asian American, resources like spans decades and generations now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really exciting.
Oh, awesome. During your time at UF, when was what moment did you feel that you connected the most to the Gator Nation as a Florida Gator?
For me, I think it's attending the Asian American Student Assembly at the University Auditorium back when it was still there before they moved it to the Phillip Center.
Right.
And so going there and being a part of that, and it was just something just so eye-opening. And it was just, you just really feel the energy and the spirit of UF. And also just all the student groups in Turlington, in tabling, and attending accent speaker series and Gator Growl. And as I was part of a sorority, Kappa Phi Lambda, and we had to work the football games. And so I worked mostly every football game the year that we won the national championship. So that was very exciting. So just being part of the football culture there also was just something that just kind of culminated all together. And then, of course, back-to-back championships. So basketball, football, and then football again. So that was exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so amazing, sort of the culture that UF has built during their weeks of welcome. The first weeks of school, where there's assemblies, there's tons of flyering. There's just people who are just marketing towards you to join their club. But I think that it's so overwhelming, but in a very positive way, that you feel like, wow, like I have just literally stepped into the Gator Nation, the swamp, and I am being bombarded to like take part and be a part of things greater than myself that I didn't even know existed before I got to UF, right? I think that UF does a really amazing job there.
I think I completely agree. I think that's something I always tell new students. And when I went back to law school, talking to law students, and even now talking to people still in law school, one thing I definitely highly encourage them to do is just to check out the offerings of UF. And as a student, you have a lot of access. Your student and activities fees pays for a lot. And there's just so much. And there's never a dull moment at UF. If it's the programming from the other clubs, or if it's official programming, or if it's sports, you can attend a tennis match. It was like right across the street parking lot from UF Law. And so I think it was like finals time, and I would just sit there and just kind of watch tennis games. And it's just really neat. And I think that's just something that I really, truly am very grateful that I had the opportunity to experience that at UF and again in law school.
Yeah. We're approaching the top 5 of U.S. public institutions. I think it's so exciting, right, to know that we were a part of and still part of this Gator Nation that is really climbing the ranks in terms of public institutions, right? What are some of your hopes, for UF as we continue this march towards the top?
I think it's just really exciting for the university. There's just so much opportunity with ranking. And so there's the funding for research. There's just drawing in different students from UF and internationally. UF Law School is actually number 24 now. And so it's a top law school. And just seeing the law school from when I attended it to what it is now, the campus looks completely different, and the undergrad campus looks completely different. So I think there's just a lot to offer, and something that the students bring is that the students themselves bring a lot of energy, a lot of intellect, just a lot of just potential. And so just seeing how students become and what they become and what they end up doing, just all is very amazing with the UF. I mean, UF's a really big school, so there's a lot of alumni. But you really do see Gators sort of everywhere.
Right?
I was just walking in New York, and I saw this guy with a Gator mask, and so nice. I was like, go Gators! Didn't want to get too close, but just had to say, go Gators.
Yeah,
randomly.
It's so. I mean, I don't think any other I don't know. I don't keep track with other universities, but I would dare to say that there are probably not many others that have a saying such as "Go Gators" that is so ubiquitous across airports and just random locations across the world.
Exactly. So that's always exciting.
As we near the end of our episode tonight, I want to thank you, and I wanted to ask, do you have any shout outs for people or places on campus that were really monumental in your experience, whether during undergrad or during law school, that you want to shout out to?
I want to give a shout out to, I'm trying to think of her position now, Mary Kay Schneider Carradine. I don't know if she's dean now or associate dean or VP.
Yeah.
But she was very instrumental in just helping to shape AASU back then. And I'm sure even now, and her mentorship for me as a person and for the organization is just so crucial to the organization, to what it is, or what it's become.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to Mary Kay. And also just the places I just think about. There's, I mentioned Turlington. The Rice Union looks completely different now.
Yeah.
And just Krishna lunches are delicious, still delicious. And
what was the price when you were a student?
Well, okay. So when my sister was a student and she started in 2001, she said it was free, but by donation.
Wow.
But then not enough students donated. So when I was, 2 years later, when I came onto campus, it was $5. Is it still $5?
I think I remember paying $3 actually, but it could be $5.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I was like, I think I remember $5, but then you can donate as much as you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to check in with the current students to see what the price of the Krishna lunches are now.
Yeah. And I remember going to, in law school, I went to the Krishna, I guess the house which is behind university, and they offered lunch a little bit later. So I was able to still eat after some classes. So that was cool. Yeah. And then just Gainesville is just so different. Butler Plaza is so different right now.
Yes.
And I remember just like Rolls and Bowls, which is not there anymore. Bentos are still there, which is good. Yeah, I remember when they opened the second one. And so that was exciting. Yeah.
And just they're all across Florida.
Yes, they are. Yeah. And they were in Miami where I was not that long ago. So delicious food everywhere.
Yeah.
And also really awesome to see alumni just opening up and entrepreneurs around Florida, just and seeing how they grow and how they're growing their business, and just kind of all goes back to people meeting at UF and then developing their business with other alumni and the friends that they met at UF. And so I think that's just really exciting. And one thing about UF is just think about the lifelong friendships that I did meet through the organizations I was part of, if it's AASU or the sorority or Gatorship, just the different friendships and the opportunities that come from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sandy, so much for joining us tonight, sharing a little bit about when you became a Gator and what it was like to be a student back when you were a student. If you'd like to be on our show, please email us at ufasianalumni@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night and go Gators!
Go Gators!